We're going to look at these questions which I've put up here. So I'm just going to rewrite a couple of them because I'm going to have to erase it again. So we looked at this data, which is 0, 4, 3, 5, 9, 5, 10, 14, 6, 15 to 19, and 8. Now, this data is like grouped data, yeah? So if we were putting it into our calculator, if we had to work out the mean or anything like that, what would we also have to do for it? You might also have to find the midpoint. So just remember that as soon as you get group data, you might need to say 2, 7, 12, 17. But these are our scores, not the mean. These are our scores, and this is our frequency for those, okay? A histogram has certain features of it which we need to be able to remember. You guys, can someone write these numbers down quickly? Someone got them written down? You got them written down? All right. I'll just work over this side so I can leave that graph up there, all right? So you have to remember certain features. Can you guys remember any of the features you need to have in a histogram? Yeah? Okay, it doesn't have to have the 2 lines at the start, but the reason why we have the 2 lines at the start is to make a space, okay? So you have to have a space at the start and the end. What else do you need? Good. You don't, the columns are all next to each other, unless there's a 0 frequency for one of them, then you'd have a gap, okay? So columns next to each other. You need to have a scale on both axes. Okay, frequency is the y-axis. Okay, so it's always frequency up and down this left-hand side. What else about the columns? Well, what about the columns in any sort of, we've got outliers, but what in any sort of histogram, what do we need to remember? The columns all have to be the same width. Columns, the same width. And that's why, remember how we said that these groups, in the group data, we said that we always have to have the same amount in each of the groups. That's why in a histogram, the columns are always going to be the same width because they've got the same amount of numbers in between them. All right? So if we look at this data here, there's 2 ways of drawing this histogram. There's a way which incorporates the midpoint, or there's a way which doesn't incorporate the midpoint. So I'll show you the easy way with the midpoint first. So this is if you don't get given a scale for your question. So for example, it will just give you an axis like this, preferably a straight one. Okay. So you would have frequency down the side. What does our frequency have to go to? At least 8. So you'd go to 10. Yeah. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. You would have it as a scale with your ruler and all those sort of things. Yeah. Now, the easiest way of doing this is we break the scale and then we can start our histogram wherever we want. And that leaves a space at the start because we always have to leave a space at the start and the end. Okay? Our columns all have to be the same width. But because I don't have a scale along the bottom, even though I did say scale on both axes, the scale is going to be our midpoints. And so what I can do is I can go, okay, there's 3 at the midpoint of 2. So I'm going to draw a column. And my midpoint is 2. That's my scale. It's right in the middle, because midpoint will be in the middle, won't it? That's it. Okay? Then I draw another column, which goes up to 5, which is the same width. And what do you think I put in the middle here? 7. I'll tell you in a sec. Just let me do it, and then I'll answer, okay? Then I do another one of the same width, and what do I put in the middle? 12. And the next one? 17. All right, so this is if there's no scale given to you on the axis, okay? So if there's no scale, this is your scale. So you've got a scale on this axis. All the columns are the same width. Yeah? You've got frequency down the side, and you've got a space at the start and a space at the end. This is the easiest way to draw a histogram. Sam? Yeah, so this is if you would only, you just want to show just your midpoints on this. You don't want to put on another scale. I'm going to show you what the other, if there's a scale on the bottom, what you'd do in that case in a second. But can everyone see the simple version of this? Alex? Yep. No, you can. But because you've broken the scale, it doesn't matter. Yep. Yep. So you can actually say 0, then break the scale, and you can make that 0 anyway. Okay? Because you're breaking the scale, you just start it wherever you want to start it. Okay? So in the next one, I'll show you how we'll break the scale and start it at 0 again in a tick. Okay? All right. Any other questions to there? So if there's no scale, do a histogram like this. It's an easy way to get your marks and you're not going to get messed up, because as soon as there's a scale, it gets a bit harder. All right? Okay, I'm going to show you the scale now. So I'm going to show you the same one, but with a scale on it. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so this is if no scale on x-axis. Okay, so if you're not given a scale. So you can make your own scale. This is scaled. It's going up by 5 each time. The columns are the same width. It's on a scale. All right? Okay, if they give you a scale, it's a little bit different. Okay, so if we're given a scale, it means that, you need a bit more space, it means that you get given all the dashes, yeah? Now, we still have to have a space at the start. And for this, for our set of data, it went from 0 to 4, was this right? 4 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19. What was the numbers? 8. Okay, so with this, we still can't start at 0. So don't draw this, don't draw it like if I were at 0, I can't start it here. Why not? Because there has to be a gap, all right? So what we still need to do is we need to break the scale and start it where we want to start it. Now, I'm not actually going to start it at 0. I'm going to start it at like -2. Okay, so I'm going to go -2. Everyone okay with that? Then go -1, 0. I'm just going to write every 2. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I realise it's not perfect, okay? 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. All right? So I've got this scale along here. Everyone get it? I realise that for some reason I've just gone really close there. Okay? That's okay. Doesn't matter. We got, what do we have down left-hand side? Frequency. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right? Okay, so we have to I've broken the scale, I've left a gap here. Now, 0 to 4. Where does 4.5 go? It goes into which one? The second one, because as soon as it's 0.5, it goes up. Where does 4.45 go? The first one, yeah? So this is actually a group which it's not from 0 to 4. It goes up to what? It goes up to 4.499999, right? Because we only round whole numbers. Okay? So this is actually from a number to 4.5, right? Just below 4.5. And this one here is from 4.5 to what number? 9.5. Because it includes up to that number, yeah? And so on, 9.5 to 14.5. 14.5 to 24.5. Okay? So what's the difference in numbers between 4.5 and 9.5? How many is in that group? How many numbers? 5. Okay? 5 in this one, 5 in this one. The columns all have to be the same width. How many are in this one at the moment if I go 0? 4.5. So what's this one actually got to go to from? Negative a half. It's got to go back a half one as well. So it would actually be at negative a half. Now this is where histograms become a little bit tricky. So we have to draw our column from negative a half, so about there, all the way to 4.5. Not to 5, to 4.5, because that's where our column goes to, 4.5. The next one goes from 4.5 to 9.5. Which is there. Okay. The next one goes from 9.5 to 14.5. And the next one goes to, sorry, not 24.5, 20.5. No, sorry, 19.5. Don't know what I wrote. Okay, 14.5 to 19.5 goes to there. Okay, and if it was on a scale, these would all be exactly the same size. Can you guys see what we did there, though? Yeah? The reason why we have to do that is because if we just went 4 and 5, you'd end up with a scale. If we went 0 to 4, it would be there, and then we'd have to go 5, and what would end up happening? You'd end up with all these, oh, where did I draw it? Oh, down here. Sorry, you'd end up with all these gaps. Sorry, wrong place to draw it. You guys see how you do that? Yeah? But these groups are including those numbers in between 4 and 5. Because as we said, 4.3 would go in here. 4.7 would go in here. So because we're including them, we include them in our histogram, make sure the histogram goes the whole way with no gaps. Are there any questions about that? Can you see why the first histogram is way easier than the second histogram? Yeah? So if given no scale, just put in the midpoints. Yes? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. So this is what you graph on the histogram. Okay? So you need to find, you need to go in between each of them. Now, I need to show you a different one as well because there's another one too. Okay? Are there any questions to there? Yes. Yep. Because the columns all have to be the same width, we need to make that one the same width as well. So that's why we go back there. Usually, yeah. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. What if we see some data which looks like this? So different sort of lists, but still group data. One which says 0, could be, either could be. I'll show you how to use your calculator probably next lesson. I reckon we'll run out of time today. All right, so if we looked at this sort of one. So instead, you know how last time there was like a gap, yeah? While this time you've got a number which is recurring, 10 and 10, yeah? So for this one's a lot easier to graph because where's the line going to go in our histogram? Where's the line between the two? For this, where's the line going to go between this column and this column? It's at 10, okay? So for this one, you'd still need to do this, yeah? But you can pretty much have the line at 10. Officially, you're meant to go just before the 10 or something, but really 10 is where the line is. Okay, so go on 10. It's fine. Actually, I shouldn't have said that. Just go on 10. It's fine. Okay, because that's where the two numbers meet. Yeah? 10 you've got to decide from there. Frequency, scale. Everyone see the difference? Yeah? If there's gaps between the groups, you need to go halfway between them. If there's no gaps between the groups, you just go where the groups are. Yes? If this was one with a midpoint, you would do the same thing, but you'd put in 5, 15, 25. You see the difference? This is just an easy way if there's no scale. So this one's no scale, this one's scale. Yeah, if it's written there, then you need to have the lines in exactly the right spots. If there's no scale there, then you can just use this. All right? What I mean by scale is like those numbers are already there. Yeah? Any questions? Histograms are hard. Okay? It's probably one of the more challenging bits of this. You guys okay with it? All right, let's have a quick look at describing some histograms. So the one I've got on the board there, I'll just write it for people who are away, looks like this. Now, you guys can tell me now, why are these columns, why is the dash and 0 in the middle? Why doesn't it go from 0 to 1? Like if I was actually going to draw this data, why is it like this? Do you guys care if it's not perfect? That's good. All right, so if I was going to draw this, what did I say that was? 16. And you've got your frequency. All right, I said this describing question was worth 4 marks. Describe, 4 marks. Now, in math, we hate reading sentences. I hate it. As soon as I see a sentence, I switch off. Unless it's a really good novel, I don't want to read it, okay? So, what do I want to read? Dot points. I want 4 perfect dot points, which just clearly show me math. It's 4 marks, therefore I expect 4 dot points. If you don't give me 4 dot points, you're not going to get 4 marks. Okay? So if this question's worth 4 marks, you need to show me 4 different maths things. The number of people who've written 3 things, the same thing 3 times mixed up in different words, you just get 1 mark for that one thing. Okay? Don't care if you wrote it 3 times. 1 mark. Yeah? So, if you have a look at this, you want to describe 3 types of things. You want to talk about something about a measure of centre in there. So, median or mean or something like that. Okay? That's called location. You want to show the spread. What's the spread? The range, or interquartile range if you know it. Okay? You need to show the shape. So the shape is like outliers, mode. So hang on, we'll just write. So this is the mean or the median. Spread is the range or the interquartile range. The shape is outliers, mode, clusters. So if there's clusters of data, symmetry. So you might want to talk about this being symmetrical here, so this section being symmetrical, okay? So if I'm asking you for 4 dot points, you need to talk about at least 1 of each, and then you can pick another one. Usually you pick 2 from here, all right? So, mean, mode, or median? Mean or median, which one could we have a look at being, we're not going to do mode, mode's going to be in the shape. So mean or median? Median's probably easier, okay? So you just sort of need to think about how many there are in each one. So there's probably 2 here, 4, so that's 6, 8, plus 3, 11, plus 4, 15, plus 3, 18, plus 2, 20, 21. So there's 21 there. Where would 10.5 got be? Where's that? 2, 3, 2, 3. So it's around here. So you'd say the median is approximately 4.5 or 5. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll never ask you to actually find them. It's just you've got to take it, sort of punt at it. So you'd say, okay, median is approximately 4.5. All right? Okay, so we've done that one. Tick, done, dot point. Doesn't have to be a sentence. You don't have to babble on about anything to do with it. Fun? Dash is fine. All right, spread. What are we going to say about the spread? Range is 16, not 0 to 16. It is 16, one number, yeah? Okay, so it's 16, take 0, which is 16. Perfect, 2 marks. All right, what else can we say? The mode is?
5.
Mode is 5. 3 marks. Done. There is an outlier at 16. 4 marks. Done. Okay, you could have also said there are 2 clusters of data along with the outlier. Okay, you could say that the middle cluster between 3 and 7 is symmetrical. Yeah, you wouldn't count this as an outlier because there's quite a few numbers there, only this one. Joe?
You say that the cluster on the left is skewed, right?
It's not really skewing all the data, so maybe. I think there's other things you could focus on which would be better. Yeah? All right, any other questions? Are we okay with describing data? Yes? These are often worth 4 marks and people just leave them blank. Okay? So you need to think about what things have we learnt about in maths class about this data. We've learnt about measures of centre, so you need to talk about one of them. We've learnt about measures of spread, so you need to talk about one of them. And then you go, okay, it's telling us to describe it, so let's describe the shape of this thing. They're the 3 things you need to do, okay? And you need to have a range of things. You can't just talk about shape. You need to do at least 1 measure of centre, 1 measure of spread, 2 shape. Okay? Any questions? All right. We okay with histograms? Can I move on from histograms now? Quentin, I've just taped all of this, but it's pretty much a review of the last 3 lessons, so you might, and they're worth a lot of marks, so you might want to watch it, okay, or listen to it, yeah? Okay, box and whisker plot. So this is about measures of spread. And we're going to continue with measures of spread next lesson with standard deviation. All right, so measures of spread. How spread out is the data, okay? What's the first type of measure of spread which is really easy to think of? Telling me how spread out the data is. Range, okay? So the first measure of spread is called range. It's the maximum score minus the minimum score. It is 1 number, as we just said before. Okay? 1 number answer. What is the range really influenced by? Outliers. So if you had a heap of numbers between 1 and 10, and you had one number which was 200,000, your range for that set of data would be 200,000. Okay? Even though there's only 1 number there, and it's probably that someone's put in the, in their typing of numbers, they put in couple extra zeros by accident. Okay? So, range is really severely influenced by outliers. So it's not as accurate sometimes. You need to be aware of that. So if there is an outlier and the question asks you, why wouldn't you use range? You need to say, because the range is influenced by that outlier. Okay? Interquartile range isn't as influenced, or it's not influenced at all by outliers. The interquartile range is your 75th percentile, which can also be called Q3, take your 25th percentile, which can also be called Q1. It's saying where 25, if it was looking at class, you'd just say 25% of the class and 75% of the class. What's in between there? That 50% in the middle. Okay. So to find these things, we also need to know the median, and we need to be able to answer the question. So can someone just tell me the numbers from that example question we just did? 3, 5,
6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
10, 11.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right. So to be able to find the interquartile range, we need to be able to find the median. We've got 5 points we have to find. We have to find the minimum score, the maximum score, the median, Q1 and Q3. Okay? So if we look at this, how do we find the median? So the middle score, if there's 2 of them, we go in between, right? So it is 7.5. All right. If we're using 7.5, to find our median of the bottom half, we include all of these numbers because 7.5 isn't one of the numbers we used, okay? So how do I find the median of this bottom half? same way, which is halfway between here, so it is 5.5. So that's Q1. That's the median. Okay? How do I find Q3? Halfway between here, which is 10. Thank you. All right, what other 2 points do we need to know, Max? What other 2 points do we need to know? Thanks, Joe. Min and 11 is max. Okay? Those 5 points are the points we have to show on a box plot. All right? Does everyone see how we got Q1 and Q3? They're the trickier ones. Yeah? All right, so on a box plot, we then have a scale. So our scale needs to go from at least 3 to 11. So I'm going to go 2 to 12 because that makes it easier. Okay, 2. Yes. Okay, that's fine. I've changed in a year. I'm changing what I'm teaching, okay? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sometimes you can update how you teach. All right, only sometimes though. So for each of those points, we need to draw a little vertical line, okay? So minimum is at 3, Q1 is at 5.5, median is at 7.5, Q3 is at 10, max is at 11, okay? All 5 of those points need to be shown in the same way. We then connect the interquartile range with a box, okay? So between Q3 and Q1. So we connect them with a box, and then we connect the min and the max with the whiskers. So that's why it's called a box and whisker plot. Okay? That's how we draw a box and whisker plot. How do we find the interquartile range? Q3 take Q1, so 10 take 5.5, which is 4.5. How do I find the range? Max minus min, so 11 take 3, which is 8. There are 2 things we need to be able to find. I find this really easy. Once you've got the hang of it, it's simple. Are there any questions about that? I'm just going to show you one more of these just in a different way, just so you know how to do it. Are you still writing? Yeah. That's all right. Can I make it smaller? Is that okay? All right, so I'm just going to do it over this side. If we have a set of numbers like this, all right, this one's a bit different to this one because that one had an even set. This one has an odd set of numbers. So what's our median? It's just 11, okay, because that's the median number. Now, this is the important bit. If the median is one of the numbers, it doesn't get included in the bottom or the top set of numbers. It's done. It's already got its spot. So how many numbers are in the bottom half? Just 3 of them. 3, 7, 8. How many are in the top half? 3, 12, 12, 15. Okay? So this is a difference between this. The median here wasn't specifically one of the numbers. It was between 2 numbers. So we chuck that half there and that half there. If the median is one of the numbers, we just don't include it. So then our Q1 is 7. Our Q3 is 12. And then we've got a min and our max. And so we can find the range is 12. Our interquartile range is 5. And we could have done a box and whisker plot underneath it if we wanted to. We'll do it down here. 15, 12, 11, 7, 3. And there's our box and whisker plot underneath there. Now, often in exams and stuff, you get given 2 different box and whisker plots close to each other, and you have to analyse them. So, which one has the bigger range? This one, okay? And you can see that from the distance between here and here. Okay, even if you didn't know the numbers. Which one has the bigger interquartile range? It's actually the bottom one. It's a bit hard because I made it a bit big, but it's the bottom one, okay? And you might have to work out the numbers. You might actually have to do the 12 take 7 and the 10 take 5.5 to work it out. All right? Which one has a higher median? Bottom one, this number here. Which one has the lowest minimum? They're both the same, okay? Which one has the lowest maximum? The top one. So can you see how you can compare the two things? Yeah? Great. Are there any questions about all this? Do you feel a bit more confident after last week now? So if I put all those questions back up on the board, would you be able to answer them now? Yes? Yes, maybe. All right. I haven't got any homework for you yet, but I will in a second. Can someone just grab out that worksheet for me? With one you did the other day. Okay. Oh, sorry, Josh, you still writing? Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. No. All right. Okay, in your booklet, so your mathletics booklet from the other day, has anyone not got it? All right, I can get him a copy, that's fine. Can you please do questions? Now, it asks you to do I just want you to do a histogram for each of them, okay? Just histogram for each of them. Page 3 and page 4. Hang on a sec. And then you should have already done 7, 8, and 11, okay? So that's it, just 3, 4. But if you haven't done 7, 8, and 11, Quinton, then you might need to do 7, 8, and 11 as well if you haven't already done it. So I'm just going to write 7, 8, and 11 just in case some people didn't do it. So that was your homework from the other night. So mathletics booklet, and for page 3 and page 4, it says some different words. I just want you to draw a histogram for each of them. Okay, don't worry about the polygon, don't worry about anything else, just draw a histogram. Okay?